Welcome to PTE Updates. For more videos, subscribe our channel.
We are social animals, so you might assume our brains are built to excel when we cooperate with each other, as opposed to when we function in isolation. Now, research with another animal supports that notion. Plain-tailed wrens in Ecuador are famous for duets between males and females. While their song is done cooperatively with the male and female singing alternate syllables, it sounds surprisingly like one bird singing solo. They found that the birds' neurons reacted far more strongly to the duet than when they sang their parts alone. The research is in the journal Science. Well, that's fine for Ecuadorian birds, but what about us humans? Well, vertebrate animals all have similar neurotransmitter systems, and the brain is organized in much of the same way. So the paper's authors hold that there is relevance to the human brain, or at least to those vertebrates who have a tendency to cooperate in the first place.
The little black boxes in airplanes provide useful information after a crash has taken place. Now researchers have devised a way to use black box info from planes that do not crash to help prevent accidents from ever happening. Some airlines already use a program that checks 88 flight parameters in the black box, but a Boeing 787 can record 2,000 flight parameters. So the researchers employed what's called cluster analysis. They took data from 365 flights of Boeing 777s in a month of operations of a now defunct European airline. They filtered the data into clusters, groupings of flights with similar patterns. Any data points outside of normal operations appeared as an anomaly. The information generated identified 3 problematic flights. In one, for instance, the data showed that the pilot had trouble rotating the plane during takeoff. The system can identify anomalies that suggest both physical and operational issues, such as those that caused a runway accident in Chicago in December 2005. The researchers from MIT in Spain will present their paper in October at the 30th Digital Avionics Systems Conference in Seattle. Because to prevent future accidents, you might have to think inside the box.
Researchers studied that phenomenon in mice. Once inside the gut, the capsaicin molecule is plugged into a specific receptor, spurring the release of another compound called anandamide. Anandamide happens to be an endocannabinoid. It's similar to the active ingredients in marijuana, and it binds to cannabinoid receptors in the gut. That last step in the cascade ramped up the production of cells that damped down inflammation in the mice, and even cured them of a mouse model of diabetes type 1, an autoimmune disease. Using data from the EPA, Holloway and her team studied how air pollutants respond when the temperature goes up. They found that across the eastern U.S., for every degree Celsius temperature rise, power plants belched out 140,000 metric tons of additional carbon dioxide. And emissions of the pollutants sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides rose 3.5% per extra degree of heat, averaged across the region. That's especially bad because hot summer days are the worst days to pump out more pollution.
These hot days, when we turn on the air conditioning across the U.S. or across our state, also happen to be the most chemically reactive days. So every unit of air pollution that's going into the air is, that much more likely to form ozone.
And ozone itself is a potent air pollutant. For most of the devices, the error rate was less than 5%. That's good enough for your doctor. But where all the devices failed to measure up was estimating calories burned. Even the most accurate devices were off by 27%, compared to lab measurements of energy expenditure. One device was off by more than 90%.
If you think about going to the gym and working out for an hour and maybe that's around 400 calories, then in reality that could be anything from 200 to 800. And that's a big difference if you're thinking about somebody who's incorporating those estimates into their lifestyle and in particular thinking about what to eat that evening based on the workout they did that afternoon.
The results are in the Journal of Personalized Medicine.
Scientific rigor and social conscience don't always go together. Some individuals and some institutions may lack one, the other, or both, but together they are a remarkably powerful combination. And we need them both, because we face some real threats. We face threats from nature, whether it's the next Ebola, or Zika, or SARS, or pandemic influenza, or HIV, it is just a few mutations away. We face threats, frankly, from killer industries, tobacco and other unhealthy and addictive substances. And we face threats from policymakers who may deny quality medical care and prevention to millions of people in this country and around the world. We are also faced with the threat that America could retreat from or undermine our role in the world.
About 750,000 open heart surgeries take place annually in the U.S., according to the American Heart Association. Applying sutures or staples during these procedures costs precious seconds and can cause damage. Researchers have sought adhesives that could quickly seal tissue, but currently available substances don't work in the presence of liquid, or can't withstand all that forceful pumping, or are toxic.
Problem is that Mellow Island lifestyle could endanger the lizards if invasive predators show up.
The lizards in the islands are going to be a lot more vulnerable.
That's evolutionary biologist Theodore Garland Jr., a member of the study research team.
They will allow those new predators to approach to a closer distance, which is going to probably greatly increase the chance that they'll actually be captured by an introduced predator.
Which suggests that, compared to mainlanders, island fauna don't stand a fighting chance unless we keep invasive predators at bay.